Good evening and welcome to Friday Vespers for June 26th. I'm Tamalyn Krolman, the Associate Pastor at First Christian Church, Bellingham, Washington. And if this is your first time joining me, welcome. I'm cautiously taking a scripture out of context for our use this evening, and I'm hoping you will be patient with me as I do so. I'm using a portion of Isaiah 43 where God is flipping life in new directions, making things better for the Israelites in unexpected ways. Hear these words from Isaiah 43. This is what God says. The God who builds a road right through the ocean, who carves a path through pounding waves, the God who summons horses and chariots and armies. They lie down and then can't get up. They're snuffed out like so many candles. Forget about what's happened. Don't keep going over old history. Be alert. Be present. I'm about to do something brand new. It's bursting out. Don't you see it? There it is. I'm making a road through the desert, rivers in the Badlands. Wild animals will say, thank you. The coyotes and the buzzards, because I provided water in the desert, rivers through the sun-baked earth, drinking water for the people I chose, the people I made especially for myself, a people custom made to praise me. And the reason I chose that scripture, you will probably note as I read the next choice, is because of the changes, the new things. And the reading I'm using this evening is a Barbara Brown Taylor book, An Altar in the World. The chapters I'm reading from is called The Practice of Getting Lost. And she talks about being on her property, which she shares with a herd of white cows. Taylor quickly learned that the cows had well-established trails all through the land that led from point A to point B in the quickest and, in many cases, the gentlest or easiest routes. So Taylor found herself following those same trails, soon comparing them to the route she used as she drove through town in her daily life. Quick, routine, mindless. But she realizes she needed to give some thought to that. This is what she wrote. I am convinced that this is the normal human behavior, which means that something extra is needed to override it. Why override it? Because once you leave the cow path, the unpredictable territory is full of life. True, you cannot always see where you are putting your feet. This means you can no longer afford to stay unconscious. You can no longer count on the beat down red dirt making all of your choices for you. Leaving it, you agree to make your own choices for a spell. You agree to become aware of each step you take, tuning all of your senses to exactly where you are and exactly what you are doing. When I do this, I hear the buzzing of the yellow jackets in time to take a detour around their front door. I see the gap in the grass around the groundhog hole in time to step around it. I sing old Baptist hymns to warn the snakes that I am coming. They do not want to see me any more than I want to see them, after all. What I see instead is the tiny wild blue iris that grows close to the ground. I see the round bed in the tall grass where the doe sleeps with her twin fawns at night, and the hornet's nest, no bigger than a fist, hanging from the underside of a thistle leaf. Leaving the known path turns out to be such a boon to my senses, such a remedy for my deadening habit of taking the safest, shortest route to wherever I am usually late going, that I decide to get lost on my way home from work. I turn left down a road I have never followed before, though I have lived a dozen years in this small county. The road leads me into the ghost town of an old mill on the river, where the hulks of deserted buildings perch at the edge of the river like a herd of petrified mastodons. Turning away from them, I follow the winding road past an old softball diamond, complete with ramshackle bleachers, where the mill workers must have played at one time. Before I know it, I am lost in the lives of those people as well, living in the mill houses, going to the mill church, working for mill owners who paid them in chits they could use at the mill store, which, like the softball diamond, has fallen into ruin. But the road I have chosen to get lost on will not let me stay there. Leading me past the boundaries of the old mill town, it turns to dirt, taking me through a stretch of the woods before presenting me with a small neighborhood of consummate country homes. One house has been added onto so often that it looks like a dowager who has had too much cosmetic surgery. Another has so many whirligigs in the yard that I do not register the house at all. A third sits at an unfortunate bend in the road, so that the porch, the windows, and the once white siding are all covered with fine red dust churned up by passing motorists. A hand-painted sign in the front yard reads, "Slow, please." By the time this unknown road dumps me back onto a highway I know, my detour has cost me 10 minutes, a fortune at the fevered pitch of my day, which I gladly pay for the liberating proof that I am still able to leave the thin paths I have worn with my frugal, fearful hooves. As we pause to breathe this evening, I invite you to breathe in the spirit of new journeys, the spirit whose winds of change blow over and around us throughout our lives, whether we're ready or not. When we breathe out, may we exhale our hesitancy, our reluctance to leave all that is familiar and comfortable, caught up in the fear of the unknown. Breathe in Spirit as she beckons you forward into a weekend of straying from your worn path and seeking grand adventures. Bye-bye.